there's huge damage to children who've been abused, as you've mentioned, the different forms of abuse. People tend to concentrate more on physical and sexual abuse because that's more obvious and goes to the courts and through the police. But the emotional abuse done to children in terms of very poor parenting, people who just don't have the skills. We expect parents to be able to know what to do, but often they don't. You know, they might have come from impoverished backgrounds themselves in terms of their own emotional development. So I think that there's two things that one has to look at in terms of how do we improve the help to children who are already damaged. You know, providing good facilities for them to go to, good facilities for counselling and for therapy. And the other thing is about the protection side of it. How do people in Goa understand the laws of protection? You know, what do they do if they see a child being abused? How are the police set up in terms of their own awareness and children's welfare services? So it's a two-prong approach, really.
Okay. What about you, Gassel? You had given a lot of workshops and seminars and training for parents and all in Mangalore and different parts. So how is your intake on child abuse and how we can prevent?
I feel the prevention part of child abuse begins with the awareness of the parents. What is happening with their children? How much are they communicating with their children? How much are they understanding them? See, as we know, child abuse is not only sexual abuse, but physical, emotional and neglect also comes again in child abuse. So how much are parents aware of these and what kind of communication they have? So it's very important for the parents to participate in the school activities so that they know where their children are going, in which kind of atmosphere they are in, as well as you know, keeping up to date with what is happening in the society. What is happening in the, if we take Goa in case, what is happening in Goa right now? What are the cases happening and how, you know, you can take part in it. And if they find any child being abused, even if it is not their own, take active participation in that and, you know, make sure that you report it. There are millions of cases that happens not only in the lower society but also in the middle and the upper society where the people don't report the cases. Many of the cases are unreported and that's why people think that, you know, it's not common and it doesn't happen. But that's not the case. It's just about coming out and speaking about it so that, you know, your child feels protected. He knows that there's someone with me. He knows the society is there. So I
must thank Prudent for having a program like this, Unspeakable program, and picking up the issues which is non-spoken. Now, as for my experience of working in the field of children for last 21 years, child abuse is a very, very common problem. It seems more than 50% of the children are abused emotionally or physically or mentally or sexually. It's a common this thing and a common thing. And in a Goan scenario, 1 out of 4 child is been abused in the school or somewhere. So it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. We have to look into our own state. You know, we are a good state, a kind of developed state, kind of educated, kind of, you know, a bit more civilized than other states. But we still have a lot of people begging in the streets. You go to Panjim Street or Margao or Kolva or Kalangu or Baga, you name it. They are everywhere, women carrying children. My experience, those children have been intoxicated to make them look pathetic and collecting money. And the funny thing that you see them only in the season. They come somewhere beginning of October, they stay on till March, April, May, collect the rest, and I don't know where they disappear. I think the government has to take an initiative to weed out this injustice. And you go to flea market, you go to night market, you go to beaches, you always see children being used as a bait to attract the tourists to buy things. And I'm sure there is a lot of pedophile is going on in the back. You know, because sending children to people whom you don't know to attract them to come to your shop, children then start massaging and children doing a little bit of conversation, and parents encourage, because parents think that this is where you can get the money. I think we have to take action. The government has taken action on it, and it has to be stopped. Like Ghazal was saying, a lot of child abuse cases goes unreported, because in our culture we are a very secret culture people. We are very secretive in many ways, and people don't come out publicly to speak about the child abuse because they are scared. In case of girl child, if I report and if people come to know this girl is been abused, then nobody will marry her.
Yeah, it's the culture. It's the culture of Indian culture which is making them.
And
they are not supposed to be going out and telling.
And let me point out that there's a stigma related to it. Even if they want to do it, they will not go because they think that going to the police or talking to a counselor or taking help from somebody will affect their relationship with others in the society.
And people don't report these kind of cases. I remember one tuition teacher once was misbehaving with one of my friend's daughters, and I was telling him that you must take him to the police because what he is doing is not correct. He said he stopped him from taking tuition, but he refused to report because he said, no, I don't want to do that. Now I was trying to tell him that if you don't report him, you may sack him from giving tuition, but he's going somewhere else, and he's going to do that. So we need a strong implementation of the child rights law, like Ghazal again was sharing, that we need more campaign, more training, more workshop, like everyone should be aware about the rights of children. Providing the rights for the children should become everybody's responsibility. It's not just the responsibility of the government, it's not the responsibility of the schools or teachers alone. It has to become a responsibility of every individual who's a part of the society.
And let me add to it saying that, we should also know the consequences, what happens when a child or when an individual has experienced a child abuse. It really shakens their life. They will not be able to trust anyone in their future. There will be relationship problems. The children who get abused, if they are in a middle class family, the schools, colleges, whoever it is, they have poor academics, they go into depression, they start showing symptoms of, cutting themselves, harming themselves, addiction, different kind of addiction. So parents have to notice this. Sometimes parents do not understand that there is something happening with my child. So parents have to be aware of what it means, and attending such conferences, workshops is just not waste of time, but it is, something that you're gaining from it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have advice to the parents basically. See, I got 2 children I raised up. What I do is that I'm very involved with my children, and I'm very involved with the friends of my children and the parents of the children of my friends. I'm very particular which house my child goes. I wouldn't allow my child to go to any house where I don't know the parents or I don't know the family situation. Now, you have to be involved in your child's life. Like Ghazal said earlier, when a child is abused, his behavior changes. If you are a watchful parent, if you are a parent really involved in the life of the child, you can easily pick up something is not right. It could be an emotional abuse, it could be a physical, or it could be sexual. See, it's so funny, you really can't predict who will be the abuser. Most of the case we handled or we come across, the abuser was somebody who is trustworthy, somebody who is very close to the family, someone whom child really trusts, like an uncle or nana or a cousin or sometimes parents, father himself or mother himself, or some trustworthy teacher, or the brother of her friend.
Even the servants that they hire.
So somebody is really trustworthy, where he won the confidence of the child. Then he tried to do this. And this kind of predators, they also have certain symptoms. If you are a parent, if you got to watch whom your child get engaged. You got to really watch. If you don't watch, somebody else is going to watch your children. And when a child gets abused, there are 3 ways child respond. One, like Ghazal was saying, that they become very introvert, they start torturing themselves, cutting, withdraw, become fearful. You know, recently one marriage, one guy, he is a postgraduate, this gold medalist, this girl is a postgraduate. She got married, first night, she didn't allow him to touch her at all. And she said, I don't want to leave, and she left. I'm sure she has some kind of painful memories when you think of sex. And other one is that some people become very boisterous. Some become introverts, start torturing themselves. Some start torturing others.
Yeah.
They say, what is given to me, I want to give it back to others.
So, as you all know that as a parent, you need to be really best friend with your children. Make sure that you know where your child is going, with whom the child is with whom the child is interacting, and make sure that your child doesn't keep any secrets from you.
That's
And
very difficult.
And there's one more
Children
thing.
love secrets.
Yeah.
you need
And
to
there's-
be your child's best friend, and
I'm trying my best, it's still difficult.
And having right kind of communication is very important.
yes.
Parents have to understand that. Right kind
Yes,
of communication, not being too strict and not allowing children to do nothing.
Not being too strict.
Yeah.
You know, my parents were very strict. And I was frustrated. And I ran away from my house. Because they everything was all about no, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. Finally, it became like up to here. So,
Right.
so in conclusion, what we want to do, what we wanted to speak to all of you is that look after your children. Your children are the greatest asset you can have in your life. If you meet a friend on the street, a new friend, when you have a conversation, these are the common questions we ask to one another. Hello, what do you do? Where are you from? Are you married? How many children? Correct?
Yeah.
They don't ask you how many houses you built. They don't ask you how big is your salary. But they definitely ask you how many children. I seen this sad face when I ask this question to some people who don't have children. Their face just drops and go like. Children are a greatest gift, and they are absolutely wonderful. And they bring such a joy. And your children are your best asset you can ever think of. So make sure you look after your children. And don't make too much time in your workplace and deprive your children. Make sure that you spend time with each child individually, and so that you can get the child rights established in their life. And we have a problem in the state, child abuse. I hope our government will listen to us and will have more active activities, taking attention to the street, the children being used as a begging object, children used for circus, children used as a bait to attract the tourists in the beachside and night market, flea market. We need to bring a change. We want our Goa to remain beautiful, clean, healthy environment. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and to add to that, child abuse, preventing children from abuse is everyone's responsibility. If you find a child who is being abused, please report to nearest police station or dial 100, or you can also contact Childline at 1098, or you can contact El Shaddai Charitable Trust, Scan India project, that Stop Child Abuse Now, at 2461 068. Thank you.